What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great night. Hope you had a ball and supper, honestly. But today, continuing just to open up a discussion, react to some Madden ratings, and they decided not to go with the wide receivers because they did quarterbacks and running backs, but they decided to go with pass rushers. So this includes everyone on the defensive line, pretty much everyone on the front seven that could be considered a pass rusher. They dropped it on us. And we found out today that there's going to be, and we'll start with our third member of the 99 Club. It's not Michael Thomas. These are just, the base rosters that we're using. But for Madden 21, Aaron Donald, his fourth straight year joining the 99 Club. You look at what he did last year, 12.5 sacks, 20 TFLs. Maybe not up to his standards. Probably a down year for Aaron Donald is a sensational year for like 98% of the league, which goes to show. And that's a tough thing for these ratings. As we go through it, there's a lot of, especially when you come to like when I'm really looking at the stats, because there are guys that were playing at 100%. There's guys that were banged up. And it's like the overall, always the tough balance between a guy's really good. How much you weigh the talent that should go into his overall versus the production that he's coming off of for an overall. That's always, if I had to agree with the difficulty of coming up with Madden ratings, I would say that would be the toughest balance. Because there's certain players that definitely, if they have a couple bad years, then clearly their play has dropped off and you can't really buy into the hype of the reputation. But if there was injuries or just, the team was bad and stuff, but the guy still is a freak athlete. And while he might not have had, 16, 17 sacks, he's insane. You still probably should give them a 99. So I get that balance, and some of these ratings that we're going to see today could be on just like based upon last year, 12.5 sacks, 20 TFLs. Maybe that's not a 99 if you're going based off just, sacks and stats. And you can't really do that, man, because there's really good players that do a lot of other things well that aren't always going to show up on the box score. So Aaron Donald getting a 99. We got those new uniforms there from the mod. Looks pretty goddamn good, to be honest with you. Number 2 on the list, going to the Texans, is J.J. Watt, who got a 98 overall. And if these rosters were kind of similar to the end, you actually got a +1. You look at J.J. Watt last year, he had 4 sacks, 4 TFLs, only played in 8 games. So, again, understanding the injury, looking at the stats, but looking at the player talent, I think J.J. Watt's back, which is goddamn terrifying because he came back off a back injury. And I always just kind of view back injuries like, think about people in your life. Think about like your parents, your dad, your uncle, or something like that. And they always can complain about their back. No one got a back injury ever feels better. It's just something they deal with for the rest of their life. The fact that J.J. Watt, obviously he's a freak. Obviously he might have made a trip or two down to Mexico. I don't know. But he is back to an all-time level. And I still think he's it's between him and Aaron Donald for the best defensive end of this generation, I would think. I still think J.J. Watt holds that crown. So a 98 for J.J. Watt. I could see the argument with only 4 sacks. Maybe you give him like a 96, something like that. And then once he can play health, and you get a couple games under his belt here in the 2020 season, then you bump him up through the roster updates. But I would say I don't hate that 98 starting out for J.J. Watt, even though I do think there might be some discussions about him getting that 98. There's a tie for number 3. First, we'll start with Khalil Mack, who got a 97 overall. Last season, 8.5 sacks, 8 TFLs, played through injury, inconsistent. Definitely a down year for Khalil Mack. I watched a couple Bears games. He was non-existent. I would argue he should be lower. I would have given Khalil Mack 95, maybe. But then it comes to the argument, like, if you're going by his talent, we know the talent is there. Khalil Mack getting 97, he should be a no-brainer kind of deal. So he's a real tough balance, but I would personally have him at 95 because I did see a couple Bears games where he was just doing absolutely nothing. In my very small scope, and obviously, like I said, Bear fans, I'm seeing them on social media right now trashing the fact that J.J. Watt had a higher rating than Khalil Mack. I'm not gonna debate this one. 97 for the talent makes a whole lot of sense, but based upon his performance last year, could be a tad higher than it should be. But either way, he's there. Number 4 on the list is going to Von Miller, who also is a 97 overall. And like Khalil Mack, a little bit of an off year, not up to his standards. 8 sacks, 10 TFLs on the season. So again, pretty much for edge rushers, the quarterbacks, the running backs we've done so far, really outside of, Josh Jacobs, all those guys' numbers, they seem to get big overalls based upon their performance last year. But when we come to the edge rushers, seems like the ratings team went more so on the level of talent and not so much just looking at the box score stats. Is why you have, in reality, 2, 3, and 4 on this list. J.J. Watt, Khalil Mack, and Von Miller all had down years. Regardless of situation and circumstance, they all had down years by their elite standards, and they're still pulling elite Madden ratings. So it is what it is. And I'm not going to be being biased. We're going to number 5, and it's Fletcher Cox, who got a 96 overall. But last year, I tell you right now, he's playing through injury, like some of these other guys for sure, but 3.5 sacks and 5 TFLs for Fletcher Cox. I mean, again, we're not going to say this for every single player. You can't just go off box score stats. Fletcher Cox, you'd have to be a moron to not think he's the second best defensive tackle in the league behind Aaron Donald. If you're classifying Aaron Donald as a defensive tackle still, if you classify Aaron Donald as a defensive end, then Fletcher Cox is the best defensive tackle in the National Football League. But off year. I don't know if I would I don't even know if I would have given him a 96. I think it started out as a 94, ended as a 94, 95. I probably just would have kept him there. But he got an overall boost, and he's sitting here as a 96. And as an Eagle fan, I'm not going to be I'm not going to complain about this one, but I could definitely see the room for argument for a guy with 3.5 sacks. If you're looking at it and you're, a casual football fan, you're going to go, 3.5 sacks. That guy should be like, an 85, something like that. But it's Fletcher Cox. He's an absolute beast. Going to number 6 on the list on the New Orleans Saints is Cam Jordan, who also got a 96 overall, 15.5 sacks last year, 15 TFLs. I think he ended Madden as like a 92 overall, so a 4-point upgrade for him to start off in Madden 21. I think it's fair, man. He's really good. And the more I'm looking at this, look at the ages of everyone. Everyone that we're talking about right now is like into their 30s. And it almost comes into question Madden's regression yet again. If you have any other edge rusher that's not getting this base rating, they're regressing at this point. They are not going up +4 and stuff like that. So it really makes you open your eyes to how incorrect the algorithm is for regression in Madden 20 and Madden franchise in general. For all these guys 30 or above that are just maintaining or going up in ratings, because that's essentially impossible in your base Madden franchise. So that's probably actually the biggest eye-opener so far to this list, but we already know it's true. I mean, the same could be said for when he did the quarterbacks. Brady's still holding on to a 90. Drew Brees at 93. Aaron Rodgers 89. In the world of Madden, those guys aren't keeping those ratings. They are regressing. So anyways, Cam Jordan coming in at number 6 with a 96 overall. At number 7, we're going up to the Arizona Cardinals, who are going to be pretty goddamn overpowered next year. And they got Chandler Jones, who has a 95 overall last season, 19 sacks, 11 TFLs, one of the most underrated edge rushers in the league. I think he was a base 90 when the game ended. I could be incorrect on that. So 95 definitely deserves it. But again, trying to go to that little question I'm posing, he's 30. Going up +5 at 30 is unheard of in Madden. So it's just another case of they need to reevaluate how they do regression in Madden franchise mode. But I'm not going to turn this video into that. We're looking at the ratings. I think a 95 for Chandler Jones. The argument will also come classifying these guys as outside linebackers. These guys are getting the rating scale and all that stuff is getting lined up with players that are, pretty much off-ball, not edge rushers, just traditional linebackers, sideline to sideline guys. And the sooner than later, man, Madden definitely has to transition to just classifying these guys as edge rushers and linebackers, so they can get on a more appropriate scale. Number 8 on the list, another case of you can't just look at the box score, is Calais Campbell, who is pulling a 95 overall on his brand new team, the Baltimore Ravens. Last season, Calais Campbell, 6.5 sacks, 10 TFLs. So much like Fletcher Cox, Von Miller, Khalil Mack, J.J. Watt, you could have an argument that if you're just looking at the stats, maybe shouldn't be that high. But from a talent standpoint, Calais Campbell has been incredibly consistent throughout his career at a high level. And then I need to just make a point because it's continuing to make me look like I have a valid point, and you guys should already know I don't need to preach to the choir. He's 34 overall. There's no 34 overall that's maintained at 95. Calais Campbell regresses 2-3 points every single year automatically, regardless if he has 30 sacks or not. So it's another, old player going up a rating or staying and maintaining his rating, because I think he ended Madden 20 as a 95 overall, but his age, he's 34. That's a death sentence in franchise mode. Number 9, going to the Browns. Watch your head, quarterbacks. It's Myles Garrett, who got a 93 overall. Ooh, don't know how he got regressed down to a star dev, but should be an X factor. I don't know what happened there. Did they actually regress him down when he got suspended? I don't know. That just could be the roster I'm on. Either way, he should be an X factor. 93. Sounds like the Cleveland Browns are getting ready to work out a mega extension for him. I mean, by all means. I personally wasn't overly offended by what he did to Mason Rudolph. I mean, if I'm a Steeler fan, I'd probably hate his guts for the rest of his life. But as a neutral, I mean, I could still kind of look past that relatively easily and just admire that he is an insane edge rusher. He's the best edge rusher in the Madden Sim every single year. And that makes me feel good. Like, Madden Sim is so inconsistent by, seeing Tannehills and Winstons and stuff like that always have insane years for quarterbacks. Running backs are pretty good. Running backs are pretty good, except RB2s always get an assload of touchdowns. Wide receivers are broken. Wide receiver ones never play well. But the reassuring fact that when you're simming in your franchise mode that there's 80 to 90% chance Myles Garrett has the most sacks in your league, that feels good. That feels good, that knowing a truly elite player is being represented correctly in your franchise. So Myles Garrett getting 93 anyways, I completely agree with that. He had 10 sacks, 11 TFLs in 10 games last year. And then rounding out the top 10, we have on the Kansas City Chiefs, just got paid. It is Mr. Chris Jones, who got a 92 overall. Maybe we can hook him up with a face scan next year, Madden. That'd be pretty cool. But he had 9 sacks, 8 TFLs on the way to winning the Super Bowl. And I think, last year, I think we made a point that he was maybe the biggest snub for a player that didn't get an X Factor ability at launch. He eventually got one. I think Chris Jones is an absolute beast at a defensive tackle. And really the only guy, again, if you're not classifying Aaron Donald as a D tackle, I think Chris Jones is the only guy that might have a chance in being in that tier with Fletcher Cox as the number one, at least in the discussion, to be the number one D tackle in the NFL. So then that leaves who didn't make the top 10. And I'm kind of looking here. I think a big omission for me is actually on the Minnesota Vikings. There is a rumor that Danielle Hunter only still has an 89 overall. Now, those are those roster ratings that got leaked that seem to be, I don't know if they were actually the regular release rosters, and now Madden's scrambling to fix them because we saw that with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, the leaks said he was an 89, but then they did all the media about running backs, and he was a 91. So I don't know if they just changed Saquon specifically, or if they're going to be doing a bunch of different changes to the ratings, but the rumor is that Danielle Hunter's an 89. I could definitely see maybe an argument that he should be considered in that top 10. 14 sacks, 15 TFLs last year. You also got, TJ Watt on the Steelers. He was really good last season. I don't think he should be pushing top 10. But I think when we're talking about guys that could break a 90 threshold, I think TJ Watt should be in that conversation. You have on the Green Bay Packers, Zadarius Smith is another guy. A lot of people on social media are like, how is he not on this list? He had a great year last season. He has an 88. Again, another guy like Watt probably could be in the 90s, someone like that, low 90s. Both the Bosas didn't get any. I mean, Nick Bosa 87. I feel like that's a fair starting grade for a guy entering his sophomore season. You have Joey Bosa on the Chargers, who's a goddamn monster. He might still have a 91. He literally might have been number 11 if they went one more spot on this top 10 list, which again, I think that's pretty fair, man. He is goddamn elite. From a talent standpoint, should be there, and from a box score production standpoint, should also be there. But the biggest, toughest one is going to be on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think there's a rumor that his rating right now is an 85 overall. That's from those leak ratings. He had 19 TFLs, 19 and a half sacks. You have got to, back in the day, old Madden. Even if he's obscure, even if he can't maintain that pace and regresses to maybe a median from where he was kind of perceived at the Denver Broncos and then going to Tampa as a free agent, even if he regresses a median this year, you still I always like those one-year wonders that have crazy Madden ratings for a year. I give Shaq Barrett a 92 because he led the league in sacks and was second in TFLs, right? And then everyone will be like, remember Shaq Barrett in Madden 21? That guy was gives you those Dre Archer, gives you those Taylor Mays type. Those guys that just for one Madden year, they were so overpowered, so fun to use, and they kind of dipped. I always kind of thought that was a fun appeal to Madden, especially growing up. And they might miss an opportunity here if they just try to say, oh, he's Jack Barrett's just a one-year wonder. Let's be modest with his overall. Maybe it won't be an 85. Maybe they'll give him an 87, 88, something in that territory. I would say just have fun with it. Go with his stats last year a little bit. Give him a 92. Give him a 93. Give him something like that. And then that could just be maybe even just the one big year Shaq Barrett was super fun to use. I'm surprised they actually didn't do it because so many people are going to be playing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next year. I don't know why they wouldn't try to make Shaq Barrett funner to use, better to use, but he's chilling on a superstar dev. That's how he finished. Maybe they give him an X factor and an 89 overall and people are still happy. But there you go, fellas. Those are the pass rusher ratings for Madden 21. Did they get it right? I think they did, but I know there's going to be a lot of casual football fans that are just going to look at the sacks and say, these guys shouldn't be here. And then Daniel's like, my guy got 18 sacks, 17 sacks. Should be like a 97. You know, it is what I think generally they got it right. But I definitely want to hear what you guys think in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow with whatever position groups they reveal. I think they said on Friday they're just going to let everything go. So I will be dropping a full reaction to the Eagles ratings whenever those drop. But that does it for me today, guys. So thank you for watching. As always, hit that subscribe button. Getting ready for that Madden 21 season. And we're on our way to 150,000 on the old YouTube, so that'll be cool when we can hit that, especially if we can hit that sooner than later. Like the button, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.